I wanted boring. Honestly, that's it. I wanted quiet. No drama, no speeches, no surprises. Just a meal, a few hours, and everyone gone by 9. I swear, I even said it out loud that morning. Please, just let it be easy. My name is Maribel Knox, 70 years old. That number still sounds wrong when I hear it. 70. I don't feel ancient. But my back sure does. It had been aching since dawn. The dull kind that tells you should have asked for help and didn't. Still, I hosted. Because I always do. Because saying no feels harder than pushing through. The house smelled like roasted turkey and burned coffee. I'd already messed that part up. My daughter-in-law arrived early. Too early. She hugged me tight, smiled wide, then started looking around. Counters, cabinets, my purse by the door. Not rude, though, just alert, like she was clocking things. I told myself I was imagining it. I'm good at that. My husband's jacket was draped over the dining chair, heavy, dark. He always puts it there. The same way. Every time. Habit. I didn't think much of it then. But I noticed it. I always do. There was this tiny voice in my head saying, something's off. Pay attention. I ignored it. I decided again to keep things nice, to smile, to not rock anything. That's my bad habit. I smooth things over even when they don't need smoothing. Especially then. You ever ignore your gut because you don't want to be dramatic? Yeah, that was me. People started arriving. Laughter filled the room. Plates clinked. My son avoided my eyes like he was tired already. And standing there, wiping my hands on a towel, I had no idea that before dinner was over, someone was going to say something that would make every person in that room turn and look at me like they'd never known me at all. We were mid-conversation. Nothing sharp. Nothing loaded. Someone was talking about traffic. Someone else complained about the gravy being salty. Plates clinked. Forks scraped. Normal noise. Safe noise. Then she said it. She's a drug addict. That was it. No build-up, no anger, no raised voice. She didn't even look at me at first. She said it like she was reading something off a grocery list. I blinked. I honestly thought I misheard her. She turned then, looked straight at me, calm, almost gentle. I saw her buying pills. The room didn't explode. It just stopped, like someone cut the sound. I could hear the hum of the refrigerator. I could hear my own breathing, way too loud. My brain stalled. I swear there was a full second where nothing connected. Drug addict, pills, me. Those words didn't belong together, so my mind just rejected them. I laughed. It came out wrong. Too fast, too high. The kind of laugh you make when your body's trying to protect you from falling apart in public. Oh, come on, I said. That's ridiculous. Nobody laughed with me. Not my son, not my sister-in-law, not even the cousin who laughs at everything. They all just stared, like they were waiting for more, like they expected a confession to follow. She didn't back down, didn't rush. She crossed her arms. I'm not trying to be cruel, she said. I'm just concerned. We all should be concerned. That word hit harder than the accusation. I opened my mouth to explain, closed it. My heart was pounding so hard I thought I might slur my words. I didn't trust myself not to sound guilty just because I was scared. My son stared at his plate. Didn't say my name. Didn't say anything. And that's when I knew this wasn't just something she said. This was something she planned. If someone said that about you out of nowhere, would you freeze or explode? I froze. Every face turned. All at once, I swear I heard my own pulse thudding in my ears. The room felt smaller, like the walls leaned in just to watch. Nobody asked me anything. Not one person said, "Is that true?" or "What are you talking about?" They just looked waiting. I scanned the table, desperate for one friendly face. My sister-in-law pressed her lips together. My cousin leaned back like this was better entertainment than television. My son stared at his plate, wouldn't lift his head, wouldn't meet my eyes. "Evan," I said. My voice cracked on his name. He flinched, still didn't look up. "Mom," he said quietly, "can we not do this right now?" "Not do what?" "Defend me. Tell the truth." That hurt worse than the accusation. It felt like he'd chosen the table over me, chosen quiet over right. I wanted to scream his name again, shake him, ask him when I became someone he could ignore. Instead, I swallowed it. I sat there with my hands folded like I was the one being polite. She leaned forward, just a little. "We're all just worried," she said. "These things happen. People hide it. Hide it." That word crawled under my skin. Suddenly, I wasn't just accused. I was secretive, untrustworthy. I looked around and saw it settle in. The doubt. Once it's there, it spreads fast. And the worst part, I started doubting myself. I swear I did. I replayed every pharmacy trip in my head, every bottle, every label, like maybe I'd crossed a line without realizing it. That's how fast a room can turn on you. One sentence, one silence. Why does being stared at feel worse than being yelled at? I still don't get that. She didn't back off. If anything, she leaned into it. "I'm not saying this to embarrass you," she said. "I'm saying it because I care. Someone has to be responsible here." Responsible. That word again. I watched her hands as she talked. Calm. Steady. Like she'd rehearsed this. Like she was proud of how reasonable she sounded. "This isn't an accusation," she added. "It's concern. At your age, things can get complicated." There it was. The soft push. The age card. That's when it clicked. Finally. This wasn't about pills. It never was. This was about control. She wanted the room to see me as unreliable, as someone who needed oversight, someone who shouldn't be left alone with decisions. Once that idea sticks, everything else is easy to take. I thought back to the comments she'd dropped over the past year, the ones I'd laughed off. "You forget things sometimes. Maybe it's better if we handle the paperwork. Don't worry. I'll take care of it for you." I felt stupid for not seeing it sooner, for telling myself she was just being helpful, for letting her talk over me in my own house. My mouth went dry. I wanted to explain everything at once, to defend myself properly, but fear crept in, the kind that makes you second-guess every word before you say it. What if I sound defensive? What if I make it worse? What if they already decided? So I stayed quiet, let her keep talking, let her build the version of me she wanted them to see. And sitting there, listening to her talk about my best interests, I realized something ugly. When did "I'm just worried" start sounding like a threat instead of care? My husband pushed his chair back. Slow, like he wasn't in a hurry at all. The legs scraped the floor just enough to make everyone look his way. He didn't raise his voice, didn't sigh, didn't roll his eyes. That's what changed the room. When he gets loud, you can argue with him. When he gets quiet, you pay attention. "Say it again," he said. She laughed, like he'd just asked something silly. What you just said," he replied. Same tone. Flat. "Say it again, word for word." I felt my stomach twist. Part of me wanted him to sit back down. Another part of me wanted him to keep going, no matter what happened next. She didn't hesitate. "That's what scared me. I said she's a drug addict," she repeated. "I saw her buying pills, and I think it's irresponsible for everyone to pretend this isn't happening." She smiled when she finished, like she'd won something. My son shifted in his seat, still didn't speak. My husband nodded once. Not approval, more like he was filing something away. "When did you see this?" he asked. She shrugged. A few weeks ago. Pharmacy on 4th, middle of the day. So specific. So rehearsed. I felt this weird mix of relief and fear crawl up my spine. Relief because someone was finally pushing back. Fear because I knew my husband well enough to know he didn't do this unless he was ready to finish it. He turned to the table, then back to her. And you felt comfortable saying that here, in front of everyone. Yes, she said. Someone had to. I looked at him then, really looked. His hands were steady, his face calm, too calm. That's when it hit me. I should have trusted him sooner. I'd been trying to survive the moment. He'd been preparing to end it. Have you noticed how calm people scare liars more than angry ones? He didn't argue with her. He didn't explain anything to the room. He just turned slightly and reached for his jacket. That's when the noise disappeared. No forks, no shifting chairs, nothing. You could feel everyone holding their breath, like they didn't want to interrupt whatever this was becoming. She smirked. I caught it, quick, almost bored. Like she thought this was some dramatic pause meant to scare her into backing off. Like she'd already decided he was bluffing. My stomach dropped hard. I had no idea what I was expecting him to pull out. A piece of paper, a phone, nothing at all. I just knew whatever it was. There was no taking it back. My son finally looked up. His eyes went wide. Dad, he said, quiet, cautious. My husband didn't answer him. He slid his hand into the inside pocket, slow enough that it felt deliberate. Like he wanted everyone to remember this moment exactly as it was. Like he was giving her time to rethink what she'd done. Nobody stopped him. Not her, not anyone. She crossed her arms, still smiling. This is unnecessary, she said. We're talking about a family matter. That smile stayed on her face way too long. I remember thinking, very clearly, this is either going to save me or ruin everything we have left. My husband's hand came back out. What would you have assumed he was about to pull out? Be honest? He pulled out his badge, not flashy, not dramatic, just metal, worn at the edges, heavy enough that you could hear it when he set it on the table. I need everyone to listen, my husband said. His voice didn't rise. That's what made it land. She stared at the badge for a second too long, like her brain needed time to catch up, like she'd rehearsed every possible outcome except this one. I spent over 3 decades in federal law enforcement, he said, most of it dealing with fraud, false statements, accusations made without proof. The word accusations hit her like a slap. This isn't a courtroom, she said quickly. Too quickly. We're just talking. No, he replied. You were making a claim about criminal behavior, publicly. About my wife. I felt something in my chest loosen, just a little. He didn't look at her anymore. He looked at the table, at everyone, like they were all on notice now. False accusations don't disappear just because they're said over dinner. He continued. They follow people. They cost them jobs, relationships, dignity. She shifted in her chair, crossed her legs, uncrossed them. I was concerned, she said. I had a responsibility. Concern doesn't sound like a diagnosis, he said. And responsibility doesn't involve labeling someone an addict without evidence. My son swallowed hard. I saw his jaw tighten. The room felt different, like the air had turned against her. Someone cleared their throat. Another person leaned back. Chairs started moving. Small sounds, but they mattered. People repositioning themselves away from her words. She tried to laugh. It didn't work this time. You're overreacting, she said. You're making this a big deal. He picked up the badge again, turned it once in his hand. I'm explaining why it already is. That's when her face changed. The confidence drained out of it, fast. Her eyes flicked around the table, looking for backup. None came. For the first time that night, No one was looking at me. They were all looking at her. Why do people only respect the truth once it wears a uniform? I finally spoke. My voice shook, and I hated that it did. I hated that after everything, my body still gave me away. They're prescribed. I said, "That's it. That's the whole story." She opened her mouth, but my husband lifted one finger, not at her, at the room. Let her finish. I took a breath. Too shallow. Tried again. "I take medication for nerve pain," I said. "Same doctor for 8 years. Same pharmacy. Same dosage." I paused. "Nothing illegal. Nothing hidden." She tilted her head. "Then why didn't you tell anyone?" There it was. The pivot. The attempt to make secrecy sound like guilt, because I didn't want to. I said, louder this time, because I didn't want to be monitored, or corrected, or treated like I was fragile. My son finally looked up. His eyes were wet. That almost made me stop. Almost. I didn't want conversations about whether I should drive. I continued, or live alone, or manage my own money. I've seen how fast those talks turn. She crossed her arms again. Defensive now. "You should have been honest," she said. "No," my husband said. "She had the right to privacy." He pulled a folded paper from his pocket. Not the jacket this time. His pants. Doctor's name. License number. Prescription history, he said, placing it on the table. Everything checks out. He didn't slide it to her. He didn't need to. "You accused my wife of addiction." He went on. "Publicly. Without evidence. Based on a pharmacy visit you misunderstood or chose to twist." She stared at the paper. Didn't touch it. "That's not fair," she said quietly. "I was trying to protect the family by destroying her reputation." He replied, I felt something settle in my chest then. Not relief. Something heavier. Like clarity. I looked around the table. Faces I knew. Faces I'd cooked for, watched grow older. I didn't lie. I said, "I just didn't volunteer my medical history for group discussion." No one argued with that. The room stayed silent, but it wasn't aimed at me anymore. The story she'd built had nowhere to stand. No outrage, no gasps, just the quiet collapse of something false. She looked small then. Not pitiful, just exposed. Do we actually owe people explanations for our bodies? Or did I just let them take that from me? Silence came back. But it wasn't sharp like before. It was thick, heavy. The kind that sits on your chest and makes it hard to breathe. No one rushed to apologize. That part surprised me more than it should have. People stared at their hands, at their plates, anywhere but at me. Like if they didn't look up, they wouldn't have to deal with what they'd just watched happen. She was the first to speak. "I think this got blown out of proportion," she said. Softer now, careful. "I never meant to accuse you of anything serious." My husband didn't respond. He didn't need to. "I was just worried." She added, "Anyone would have been." There it was, the walk back, the slow retreat from certainty to concern, from accusation to misunderstanding. No one backed her up. That was new. My son finally looked at me then, really looked. His face was tight, like he was holding something in. Guilt. Maybe. Fear? Regret? I didn't know. And honestly, I didn't care anymore. "I'm sorry, Mom," he said. Too late. Not because I didn't want to hear it, because I'd needed it earlier. When it mattered, when the room had turned and he'd let it, I nodded anyway. That's what mothers do. We nod, we absorb. Someone else cleared their throat. Another relative mumbled something about dessert. Normalcy trying to crawl back in like nothing had happened. But everything had happened. I felt tired, not relieved, not proud. Just done. Like I'd run out of whatever fuel keeps you trying to fix things. My husband put his hand over mine. Didn't squeeze. Just there. Solid. She stood up. "I think maybe we should all cool off." She said, no one stopped her as she walked away. I realized something quiet and sharp at the same time. Being proven right didn't give me anything back. It just showed me what I'd lost. If someone only regrets hurting you after getting caught, does that count at all? I didn't raise my voice. I didn't make a speech. I just stood there and said what needed saying. This doesn't happen again, I told them. Not in my house, not about my body, not about my life. No one interrupted me. I looked at her, not with anger, not with triumph. Just steady. I'm not forgiving you tonight, I said. And I'm not screaming either. This isn't something you talk your way out of. She nodded like she understood. I don't know if she did. I need space, I added. And I decide what that looks like. My son opened his mouth, closed it. That was progress. I guess. Christmas ended in pieces. Half-eaten pie drying out on the counter. Coffee gone cold in mugs no one touched. People saying goodbye too quickly, like leaving early might erase what happened. When the door finally closed, the house felt loud in a different way, too quiet. My husband asked if I was okay. I don't know, I said, and I meant it. Later, alone, I replayed everything. The accusation, the silence, the way my son wouldn't look at me, the way I still nodded when he apologized too late. I wondered if I should have spoken sooner, years ago, at the first comment, the first little dig, or if staying quiet had protected me longer than I want to admit. There's comfort in pretending things aren't cracks yet. Here's what I know now. Age doesn't make you fragile. It just makes people think they're allowed to manage you. And once you let that start, it doesn't stop on its own. If you're watching this and you're in the middle of something similar, I won't tell you what to do. I'm still figuring that out myself. But I will say this. Boundaries don't have to be loud to be real. Calm is still firm. Silence can be strength. But only until it starts costing you yourself. I'm not done thinking. I'm not done deciding who gets access to me and who doesn't. This story doesn't end with a neat bow. It ends with me paying attention. If this were your family, what would you do next? Because honestly, I still don't know.